Um, there you go. Never really been very comfortable talking about myself, guys, but brief overview. If you don't know, my name is Beth Hahoot. I've been a notary public and loan signing agent for right at 22 years. So 2023 is my 22nd year being a notary and loan signing agent. Currently the lead instructor for Notary Stars. And I'm really, really happy that I can be graced by Jen Neitzel and Laura Biewer's presence today. Thanks for having me.
You know what? It's always a pleasure, Beth. I'm so glad you could join us today. Jen?
Hi, everybody. I'm Jen Neitzel. I'm the creator of Signing Agent Marketing, as well as the co-creator with Bill and Laura of Notary Business Builder. I'm excited to be here today. Hopefully you guys have some good marketing questions for me.
Fantastic. And if you don't know me, if that's possible, my name is Laura Biewer. I am the creator of Coach Me, Laura, and my mission is to help develop competent and confident notaries. So regardless of the path you take, you will be good at it. All right, so I don't see any hands raised, but the way it works is at the bottom of the screen, if you hover down there, you'll see an emoji face. And if you click on that, you'll see a bar that says raised hand. And that's what you want to click, and it'll put a raised hand up in your screen. It'll pull you to the top of our screen so we can see you, and then we'll be able to let you ask your question. We'll ask you to unmute. You can ask your question. It's always helpful if you not only say your name, but say the state that you're from, because that can make a difference, a big difference in our answers back to you on your questions. So we really appreciate that. And let me just get rid of my emojis there. And I see that we're going to start with Delcy. So Delcy, if you'd unmute yourself. Okay, you're unmuted, but we don't hear you yet. Now we got you.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, guys. It's so nice to see you guys and talk to you. I have a question. I don't know if it's for you guys, but I've been doing this now. I'm out of New York, by the way. I've been doing this notary thing now this is my third year, and I still don't understand what the difference is between a buyer package and a purchase.
All right, can I have Beth or Jen take that? I got to grab a call.
Sure, I'll be happy to. I'm sorry, Beth, did you want to answer that? I'm just used to stepping in.
I can take it. That's kind of what we do at Notary Stars.
Yeah.
On loan signing files. A buyer package and a purchase package is the same thing, Delcy. Sometimes that's yeah, it's
what
just
I thought, but it doesn't seem to be, for some reason. Every time I get a new direct account and I do a purchase, I don't hear from them again. So I feel like there's something that I'm either doing that I'm not supposed to, or not doing that I'm supposed to, that's causing this to happen, and I don't know what it is.
wow, Jen, I don't know if there's a correlation there or not between a buyer package and a purchase package, and then not getting called back on a buyer's package, because while there's some minor differences between title companies, as long as you're completing all of the paperwork in the package with your signer, I can't imagine that you're doing anything wrong that they wouldn't let you know that they wanted done.
Yeah, normally title companies are really good about letting you know when you've missed something or done something outside of their normal guidelines. So I just to clarify, Delcy, I was having just a little bit of trouble hearing you. So you're not getting calls back directly from title companies, and you feel like it has to do with the language you're using?
I don't know what, for the life of me, I can't figure it out. But
yeah,
like I've been marketing, and I've made some connections direct with title companies,
right.
and and they'll give me a chance. Like they'll have me do a closing for a purchase, and do the closing, they'll say, thank you, the docs look great, but then I don't hear from them again. And it's only when I do purchases. Like I've done
Interesting.
supplies, I've done, you name it, seller, I mean, you name it, I've done it all, but for some reason, like I look through all of my, my data, and I see a trend that every single time it seems that I do a purchase for someone, I don't hear back from them.
So two things I would suggest. And number one is if you have been working toward building relationships with your direct title officers, I would definitely encourage you to reach out and ask the question, how is my service? What can I do better to serve you? I wouldn't approach it with, what am I doing wrong? Because the truth of the matter, and this goes into point 2 I wanted to make, is there's just not a lot of real estate business right now. And the truth is, with interest rates rising, I heard this morning on one of the mortgage news websites that I subscribe to, mortgage applications are at the lowest point they've been at since 2014. So there's not a ton like you're used to when you started 3 years ago, right? And there's not a lot of refinances happening right now, because who the heck's going to refinance at 7% if they got a mortgage at 3% a few years ago, right? So it may just be a function of volume. We have a tendency as human beings to think if something is going different, that it's our fault. So I would encourage you to reach out to your title partners and just touch base, find out what you can do to serve them better. How is their business going? What can you do to help drive business? Can you introduce them to some real estate friends that you might have met over the years? Those kinds of touch points with them go a very long way.
Good advice.
Did you have
Thank
anything to add, Laura?
No, I think you guys have already covered it. But Delcy, did we answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have a direct one because obviously we don't know who your title people are, but definitely reach out and invite them to coffee or something, and just, or just swing by with a coffee and have a conversation about it from a supportive point of view. And I think you'll find that it has nothing to do with you. It might just be a volume situation. And Laura, very quickly, Dashika is now
I
on
just
the
saw
call.
her. Dashika, were you planning on being one of our co-hosts today? Could you unmute yourself?
Absolutely. I would be honored.
All right.
How's everyone
Now,
today?
we're all doing fine. I'm just looking to see where I find how to do that so that. Okay, well, you can just stay unmuted as long as there's no big sounds happening with you. Otherwise, I'll just call on you when I'd love for you to add your 2 cents in as well. So everybody, before we move on, I do want Dashika to take a moment to introduce herself and go ahead and do that so people know who you are. Dashika, if you unmute, I didn't hear you. Did we lose you?
I think she's gone, Laura.
Uh-oh, she must have fallen off. I don't see her anymore.
Yeah, I don't either, but I'm sure she'll be back. And when I see her come back to,
Ah, there she is.
there she is. Let me admit her again.
I got her. She's coming in.
All right.
I'll make her a co-host too.
Yeah, thank you. If you'd unmute yourself, Dashika, and then introduce yourself to the group, that would be great.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dashika Hill from the great state of Michigan. I am a superpreneur, I consider myself. I have been following Laura and Bill since I've been a notary, and I am appreciative to be able to join you all as co-hosts today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dashika. Glad you could make it with us. And so now we're going to go to the next person, which is Yvette. Yvette, if you can unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. I
I've been a notary since last year, but I'm really starting to get into it now. Because I have a full-time professional job but I want to make this notary business, excuse me for one.
Oh, she had some noise coming on, but we'll
I
give her
did.
a moment.
I did. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Go ahead.
I would like to know from the marketing standpoint, how do I get my name out there? I see NNA has things, there's something 123 Notary, and I'm really confused as to where to start, how to start. I did get some text, like a couple of text messages within the year since I've been a notary to notarize documents, but by the time I reached out to say yes, it was gone.
Okay. And
it
Yvette,
took me-
what state are you in?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in New Jersey.
Okay, so New Jersey. And I'm just gonna ask, just so all of our co-hosts know, in New Jersey, do you have any limitations on your travel fees? Are you there, Yvette?
Yes.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
so because
sorry.
some of our suggestions might
Yes.
include specialty work, which relies on travel fees. And if you're in a state that's not friendly to that, then those won't be good suggestions. My understanding is there are no limitations in New Jersey regarding your travel fees. Yvette, do you know what your notary fee is?
$25. Is that what you mean? That's
That
what-
doesn't sound like traditional. Is that Ron?
No,
That's for a paper traditional notarization. You get $25 per signature notarized.
from
that
my
doesn't sound right to me.
understanding, I could be wrong, but from my understanding, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm
So
really
these
not
are-
sure. I was told $25 whenever that book is signed by someone, like whenever I have to sign the book and somebody's getting a signature, it's the state of New
Okay.
Jersey recognizes $25.
So hold on just a moment. Beth, have you been popping around on the computer to see what New Jersey can charge? I don't think it is more than California.
It is not.
I think it's like 10.
Trying to
Oh.
get out of the notary thing or the run thing. It's
Yeah, that
$2.50.
25 sounds like Ron, not like
$2.50.
$2.50 and travel is not addressed.
okay, so $2.50 is what you can charge per notarization maximum. And then your travel fees can be whatever it is that fits your business model based on how far you have to drive, your driving expense. You know, if you're driving a Hummer, that's a little more expensive than driving a Prius. So that's how we, go about pricing that. And of course, if you're going to somebody's home, the time is less. But if you go to a hospital or jail, the time is more. So then those are going to be more expensive. So my first question, now that we got that straight, is were you looking to do something specifically like loan signings, or were you looking to do the specialty type or general work?
So I've taken the coursework with NNA for the loan signing document. So that's what I'm focusing on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I received the text messages for loan signing documents. And of course, since I've never been on one before, I was nervous. I'm like, I need another person who is notary, has their certification as a notary to go with me. Like my first few times, I need someone that I could shadow. So, but I'm trying to get my name out there, and I'm listening to how like the market has changed. And I still want to find out what I need to do to market myself.
Sure.
And I've heard there are temporary agencies out there where notaries work for them, and they seem to be getting work. And I really don't know the names of those agencies.
Okay, so now you've given us enough information.
Okay,
There's a couple things, because I would love Beth's input on this and Jen's input on this and Dashika's input on this. But I will tell you that there's going to be two paths you're going to take. And one is going to be the technology path. And one of them may talk about that with you. And the other one is going to be the building relationships path. So can I start with Beth?
No, I'm going to pass on that one.
Okay,
And the
then I'm going to
reason-
go to, that's
I
okay.
want to follow up at the very end, though.
Very end. All right, so I'm going to move on to Jen.
So Yvette, this is a great question for a notary starting to build a business. And I want you to think of it as if you're starting a shoe store or a restaurant or a boutique. You're starting a business, right? And Laura's absolutely correct. There are two ways for you to get your name out there. Neither one of them happen overnight or happen quickly, but require a lot of effort and maintenance on your part. And that is your online presence and the relationships you build with people in your community that require notaries. And that could be loan companies, title companies. It could be hospital facilities, care facilities. It could be your town administration offices. There's so many people. The scope is wide for how many, for companies that need notaries. So I would start by figuring out where you want to focus first. And you might want to start by going to some networking events in your area that align with your focus. For example, if you want to focus on loan signings, then I would suggest finding out where title companies and loan officers, where they network, and go and introduce yourself and tell them about your business. Tell them who you are. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. So they don't necessarily want to hear about how long you've been in business or how much E&O insurance you have or how many signings you've done or not done. They want to get to know you as a person, because when it comes especially to loan signings, there's a trust factor in there, right? They're handing over a file to you that contains every tiny bit of important information for their clients, and they want to make sure that they can trust you with that. So go network where they network. If you want to get involved in care facilities, find out where those people go to network, where they gather. Everybody, every profession has some kind of networking event. It's just doing the research and digging to find out where that is. And the other thing I would recommend is making sure that you have your Google business profile set up and that you're getting reviews on that as much as you possibly can. And if you're looking for continued guidance on how to walk into a title company and meet them, I actually created a whole website about it, signingagentmarketing.com. So you can go check that out as well. And there's some information about that on that website for you to peruse as well.
Thank you, Jen, for offering that. And before I move to Dashika, because I'd love for her input as well, I'm monitoring the chat, and I want to bring something up because I see it happen all the time. When someone says they want to shadow, there are confidentiality issues with that. If you want somebody to shadow, the best way to do that is they have to have a purpose. They have to have a connection. For instance, they're witnesses to the document. Use the offer to be a witness for another notary colleague. So now there's a reason for you to be there. I see the word HIPAA or the acronym, and I just want everybody to know that is not the appropriate term. It has nothing to do with us. That is specifically for medical. That is about medical records only. It is for hospitals, it's for doctors, and it's for the agent listed in a POA for healthcare directive. So when I see HIPAA on there, it tells me you guys aren't recognizing that. So I just want everybody to know that HIPAA isn't the word. It's just confidentiality issues. And so the way you can move around that is to have a purpose for being at that signing. And so I've taken notaries with me to be witnesses. And by doing that, there's a reason for them that they're tied to that particular assignment. So thanks for everybody helping her understand why shadowing in the mainstream isn't the right thing to do. I just want to make sure everybody uses the right terminology for that. Beautiful. And thank you, Jen. Now, Dashika, you're somewhere. I can't see you, but you're somewhere, are you not?
I am
There
here.
you are. Do you want to add for our guest today, Yvette?
Absolutely. So I do have one or two questions. One of the things you made mention was you wanted to get yourself more exposure. And one of the ways to get yourself more exposure is start with your comfort level. Start with your comfort area. Do you belong to any associations? If you do belong to any associations, whether it's a church, whether it's a book club, you start with those individuals and add. If there are any functions, events that are coming up, can you be a vendor at one of their functions? Can you be an advertiser for their function? That one will get you exposure without you having to press too hard for it. Also, with that exposure, you really never know who's connected to who, right? So you're in a book club, and usually when we talk to our girlfriends, we're talking about the kids, we're talking about the dog, but we really never talk about their profession or associations they belong to and how they can introduce you into those associations or introduce you into those additional circles. Just like Jen said, you want to be where they are. So a lot of times we're comfortable going in pairs somewhere. So instead of just only looking at doing the job, one of your comments was you want the exposure on how to get to the job. And that can be one of the ways, is a warm introduction. Your library has different ways you can advertise and put flyers on the community board. Your grocery store has ways you can put advertisement up on the community board. And those are just some of the low-level ways to get exposure. But if you're thinking about specialty work, one of the things when I started out, I called one of the smaller title companies and just simply explained, I need to know more than what I was taught through the NNA. Do you mind if I shadow one of your closings? That way I can get the language down, I can get the flow down. And I didn't go to the bigger title companies until I was really, really comfortable with the flow of things. And I'm gonna mute my mic.
All right, thank you, Dashika. That was great information for everyone. I don't want to add anything more to that. I think it was covered, but Beth wanted to circle back in at the end.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear what everybody else's input in. It was all great advice, especially Jen and Dashika, your masters at marketing. But when someone new is just starting out and trying to get a feel for the landscape, it takes some time to do that. So I want you to be patient with yourself, regardless of what area you think you want to focus your attention on, either loan signings or general notary work. Your presence on your digital presence is really going to be pretty important for both sides. So probably where you would best spend your money, at least initially, and your time, is in a website. Laura mentioned, or maybe Jen mentioned, Google My Business profile. You need to get that set up for sure. Establish your company in all of the social media networks, LinkedIn, Facebook, Nextdoor, if that's your arena.
Mm-hmm.
For those personal relationships, you need to find a way to do that that's inexpensive for you starting out. Joining things like your Better Business Bureau gives you entree to local events. So regardless of general notary work or specialty notary work or being a loan signing agent, that can be beneficial for you too. So look for those local events that you can just attend and start making yourself known, be present, and tell them who you are. tell everybody you know that you're a notary.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, let's move on to Larry, or thank you for your patience. I see your hands up.
Yep, there we go, unmute. Longtime listener and first time caller, I guess, but we've met, Laura and I have met, and Jen and I have met in Philadelphia with the Philadelphia Social, and just want to remind everybody that's a great event if you're on the East Coast. But my question is, in Washington, DC, they're starting up e-notary and iPen. And I've been fortunate enough to be asked to be one of the first to participate. And I just want to know from anybody, any tips on starting up on this iPen situation?
Well, great questions. Congratulations that you've been asked to participate right at the get-go. I happen to be set up for iPen myself, although, and that's legal in California. iPen, if you don't know what it is, for everybody else, is in-person electronic notarization. So you are working with a laptop and a electronic image and signature, but the person is face-to-face breathing the same air at the same time. That's what makes it different than Ron, where they're at a different location. Now, in terms of, are you asking like in terms of navigating that process, or are you?
Any information that'd be helpful is starting, you know, I'm a novice. I just started looking at escrow tab that I think Bill has suggested many times. I'm looking at, I'm going to get, since I'm part of the Apple family, I'm going to go with an iPad because I'm just familiar with it. And everything else is new at this point. So any tips, tricks, pathways I should take, I greatly appreciate it.
All right. Do you ever use the Knowledge Center at the NNA's website?
I have, but
Okay,
that's a good-
you might want to look for articles that are specifically on that topic. There have been some great ones that have been put out, not only from the NNA, but from other notaries who are doing the iPen work.
Great.
And then I'm going to pass it to Dashika. Do you have anything to add to his question about doing iPen? Is it or Ron, Larry, or just iPen?
Not Ron's coming. Ron,
The iPen right now. Okay.
it's iPen first, and as you know, Judy Gold is our rector, and you know I've been in contact with her, and Ron is slowly coming. I mean, they've got the framework built, but
So for
iPen's-
today, Larry, for today, your question is about iPen.
iPen, correct.
Thank you. Okay, Dashika, do you have anything you want to say?
I am trying
There you
to
go.
unmute you. So with your iPad, my question is, what technology or what devices are you using with your electronic signing? Because that can make a lot of difference.
I was going to go with the iPad, Apple iPad.
Now, are you using an attachment or you're expecting them to sign directly on your iPad?
It'd be direct. Good question. I guess it's going to be directly on the iPad with the iPad.
And the reason I ask is because what I found sometimes the company asks, do you have the pad attached? And I found that it's difficult to use the attachment. And having the right equipment makes a big difference, right?
Yeah.
With iPad, with iPen, can you all hear me? I feel like I'm frozen
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
You're still good.
Hello?
Yeah, Dashika.
Hello?
Maybe she can't hear us. We hear you.
Hello?
Hello.
Looks like she might be driving, so.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening, but you can, we can hear you, Dashika.
Should I log off and come back on? I can't.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Frozen.
And then go ahead, log off, come back. And I'm going to, yeah, go ahead and log off and come back, Dashika.
Hello?
All right, and I'll let her back in. In the meantime, Beth or Jen, do you have anything you want to speak
I
to?
really don't have any familiarity with iPen at this point. It's not something I've utilized, Larry, so I don't want to give you advice from, you can read that, like Laura said, on the NNA website. And I know you've very likely talked to Bill about this already.
Well, he's in Hawaii, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat as well. I don't have any experience utilizing IPAN. I know it's a great tool, looks really fun. That's about all I can tell you, Larry.
Well, I'll get Bill on his office hours, I guess, next time he posts.
Yeah. And come back and tell us about it.
I will. Looking forward to it. And for the person who we just had about the marketing, if she's on Facebook, you should make sure that all her friends and family know through Facebook that she's a notary as well, because that has worked for me as well too.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Larry. And I will say that I have the escrow tab, and I've been practicing with that because I'm planning to do trust work with that. And being able to sign right on the pad makes a big difference. I mean, without the little side thing. Okay, very good. Sharon. I don't know if the other one came back.
Hello, Laura.
Hi,
How's
Sharon.
everybody? How you guys doing?
We're
Laura,
great.
I'm in Nevada,
Yeah.
and I know one of the things I had wondered about, because you had mentioned about having a special witness once you go into nursing facilities to notarize documents.
Uh-huh.
And I know I do a lot of power attorneys going into nursing homes, hospitals, etc. And I was just wondering, can you explain that a little bit more? Because I don't think it's a requirement here in Nevada, but I'm not sure.
Okay. So first of all, the special witness, what Sharon is referring to, would be called an ombudsman. It would only be for healthcare directives, not regular power of attorneys. And it is in many states, but not all states. For instance, Texas is one that it's not there, I know. But for the states where it is, you will probably find it on your statutory wording. There'll be a space for special witness or ombudsman. And that's a requirement when the person's in long-term care, they are filling out a healthcare directive or medical power of attorney. And they want this advocate person to have a discussion with them to make sure that they know what they're signing, because this person's going to have the power to pull the plug, right? So they want to make sure that their wishes have been indicated and that they'll be honored and identified on the paper. So if you're in a state where that's required, the way I found out if it was required in my state, it was in probate code. That's where it talked about powers of attorney and healthcare directives. It may or may not be in probate code in your state. It may be a different code. You might have to Google advanced healthcare directive requirements or ombudsman healthcare directive requirements to start to find out if that's a requirement in your state. If it is, you'll start seeing stuff come up. And so that ombudsman is first of all, it's a volunteer situation. And second of all, they're patient advocates. So they do more than that. There's a lot more that the ombudsman program does, but that's just one of them. That's a special witness. Now, their powers of attorney and healthcare directives can also require regular witnesses, document witnesses. And that's what I recommended is if the person can't get a witness, one of the services I offer is witnessing service. And I have local notaries who I call and say, hey, you want to make 25 bucks, pop over and witness a signature for me. It's also a way that if they want to get some training, meaning hands-on watching what's going on, because they're a witness, they're tied to the document and I can have them at my assignment.
Got you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, does that help everybody understand that a little bit better?
Yeah,
So-
one add to that, Laura, is
Yeah.
the ombudsman program is federally regulated. And
Mhm.
it is only, so every state has a federal regulation for an ombudsman in certain situations. At the state level, like in California, is where they're requiring an ombudsman witness when
Yes.
it comes to healthcare directive power of attorneys. So I just wanted to make that kind of clear, because if you go out and you Google ombudsman in Nevada, it's going to pop up and tell you it's a requirement because it's a federal mandate. But this is a little bit different. This is
Right.
on that state level.
Right. So and that's why I think you should include healthcare directive
Yeah,
as
exactly.
part of your search, because that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
All right,
Right.
before we go to another person, Dashika, I saw it in the chat, but could you give us, 2 minutes or less on the consortium coming up? I see you're back.
Yes,
Okay,
let me apologize to everyone. I did not know the area I was going to be in was going to be horrible, so I do apologize for that. The Michigan Notary Consortium is here. It is this weekend. It is Friday, starting Friday, the May 19th through the 21st. It is in Detroit, Michigan. We kick off with our networking social, where we have Teresa Paris Brown and Laura Shear as our presenters for that day. But the full conference breakfast starts at 8 a.m. where we have an advocacy breakfast, and we get to express our concerns with one of two bills that are here in Michigan that's on the table. So the state representative, our local and district representatives will be there for us to express to them how these two bills will affect the notary community in Michigan. And then from 9:30 to 4, we are in workshops and sessions. We take a break, and then at 6:30, we load on to the Detroit Princess for our dinner cruise. And then on Sunday, we will have our final rally and our closing remarks. And our closing remarks and presenter for Sunday will be our very own Lori Morgan. So I'm excited about this conference. It's here. We've worked really, really hard. We have Phil who's coming. We have Judy Lawrence, Phil Shannon, Judy Lawrence, Amy. It's a full.
we lost her.
So I'm excited. So thank you for letting me share that with you all.
You're welcome. Thanks for being with us today and letting people know about that. All right, now I'll go to the next person, which happens to be Phil Shannon.
Well, I'm going to piggyback on what Dashika had to say. I know how hard her and her group have worked to put this all together. These are not easy. Laura knows from 9 years.
7 years.
7 years. It seems like it's been 19 actually. But this is a grueling endurance contest. I know they worked really, really hard. So I am really looking forward to showing my support and being there, talking to notaries about how they can protect their business, how they can grow their business. But if you are not going to be there, you can join me in about 30 minutes, 5 minutes after the top of the hour, where I will be conducting a short Zoom presentation about how you can protect and grow your business, how I work with Bill and Laura and so many people on the stage here. It's just my pleasure to have such an amazing relationship with the great notaries, the great entrepreneurs that are all part of this. So please join me 5 minutes after the top of the hour. I'll put a little information in the Zoom. You can text me and I can text you the link. So thanks everybody. And Laura, always appreciate Jen, Dashika. Great to see everybody.
Thank you. All right, next, iPhone. Tell us your name and where you're from.
Hello?
Yeah, now we got you.
Hi, yes, hi. My name is Quinn. I live in New York. I have a question with regard to expecting payment from signing services. I know in the past, I guess I've heard, basically people say if you should wait a certain period of time before, sending out notices or reaching out to the signing service owner to find out about, your payment, your receipt of payment. But I guess my question is, should I just sit back and just wait for the payment to come, even though it's been, let's say, over 6 months or so? Or, because the excuse that's been given that, signing services, been falling under because of I guess the way the economy is, and they've been slow to pay their notaries. So should I just take it as a loss and not expect to receive the money? I mean, even though it's less than $100, and just basically just wait to receive it, or just take it as a loss?
Okay,
In that instance,
was that your question?
without having to go the route of, writing the negative reviews about the signing services, that's, sort of like I guess, slow to pay.
Okay, so a couple of things I'd like to share, and then I'll let my co-host share as well. One is that it's going to happen. First of all, signing services tend to be slow. That's not just because things are slower now. I've been doing this 19 years and they've never been fast, ever. All right, so that's the first thing. And they'll usually tell you when you sign up with them, if they're 30-day or 60-day or 90-day or whatever their payment schedule is. So you want to make sure that you know what that is, because you don't want to take any action until it's exceeded that amount of time that you agreed to do that. Second thing I want to share is that even in my time, and it hasn't happened very often, but it's happened where I was stiffed. They didn't pay at all. And of course, when things get a little tough like it is now, some of these little mom and pop size signing companies, they just go out of business and they just leave the notary hanging. And that happened to me in 2008. And so one of the tools I use, not for one specific, but just in case for my career of being a notary, and not just for loan signings, but it could be a direct. And that is, I'm a Legal Shield member. And so one of the benefits of my membership happens to be that they write demand letters for me. And they respond to those demand letters much differently than my email or my letter. And so something when you're in business, whatever your business is, you want to make sure you have something at your side that you can go to get help for this, that you're not just paying out more money than what the money is that's owed to you. So that's pretty much how I address it. There are demand letters, samples out there that if you want to do it on your own, you can. But I would suggest, if you're going to continue to be in this business, this might have been your first time, but it probably won't be your last time. Make sure that you have something that you can work with. So when it does come up, you have something bigger and better than you by yourself as an individual to address it. All right. And then the other thing, as I initially said, is make sure that you know what your time frame is, so that you don't go after them when in fact it's within their time frame. All right. Now, that said, Jen, do you have anything you want to add?
That was a perfect answer, Laura. I definitely think it is absolutely a reason to have a service like Legal Shield. The only thing I would add to that is don't accept a job from them again.
Yeah.
Don't accept any more jobs from this company, because they've obviously proven that they're not reliable for payment.
And you know what, just to add to what you said, Jen, one of the things some notaries have done, because they're so excited about getting the jobs, they will start taking 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs, and they haven't even been paid on the first job. So when it's a brand new client, it's like establishing credit, right? I don't let them have 5 or 6 jobs, and now I'm not in the hole for one job. I could be in the hole for a lot more money. So when I'm working with a brand new client, I have a limit to jobs. If I don't get paid, they don't get any more work from me as their vendor until I'm paid off.
Now, would you suggest writing a review about the company, or just
You can go to the Better Business Bureau and indicate that you've got a dispute with them. I'm part of the Better Business Bureau, and so that's something I've done as well.
But what about like on the like review, I guess signing service review websites that are out there? Would you
I don't even know who would be reading that. Well, there is one, which is notaryreviews.org. .net. And that one is run by a notary. It's a membership driven, because you can get good leads from that list. But one of the things that makes it good is that all of them are rated 1 to 5 stars based on the experience of actual signing agents. And it's there also that you can post information if you're having issues with one. And then what happens is, notaries see that and they're like, well, I'm not going to reach out to this company. I don't want to work for this company. I make my little short list that says don't accept jobs from this company. But that could be another route as well, besides the Better Business Bureau, besides going after the particular one with a demand letter. I mean, there's lots of things you can do without going to court.
I think a specific review, if I heard you correctly, is probably making you feel a little intimidated, right? Like if you say something bad, then you're never going to see your money, right?
Right. I mean, I probably would remain anonymous in writing the review. But, I don't want to put myself, like I've heard from the person and he gave me all the reasons why he or she couldn't pay me. But I'm like, even though it's a little bit of money, it's been like over 6 months, going on 6 months, I should say. And I paid, and I just feel like, should I just take it as a loss and just go
Well,
from there?
I wouldn't take it as a loss until you get to the end of the year when you're trying to button up your accounting. I mean, if it makes you feel better to leave a review somewhere about that particular signing service, then I think you should. If it's something you're worried about, then you shouldn't. But I mean, you have to think about because the guy's obviously already given you a bunch of excuses. So he's decided he's not paying you for this amount of time, right? So if you feel compelled, I would leave a review so that other notaries maybe don't have the same experience. But as far as what you should do on your books, I think writing that out, I think you should do everything in your time that you have before the end of the year to try and collect that money, whether it's a monthly email that you just set up automatically, or you go the Legal Shield route, which I do recommend, and have a demand letter sent. But I wouldn't write anything off your books until the end of your accounting year.
Okay.
And just
All right.
by the way, when we're sole proprietors providing a service, there really isn't anything to write off, because you're writing off all the expenses for the cost of doing the work already as part of your expenses, and your labor, you're not going to be able to write off.
Right.
So you're already getting the write-off on the materials and gas and all that part of it. But just know that we can't write off our labor.
Right.
So Quinn,
Okay.
I can tell you in 22 years, I've only ever had 2 people stiff me on payment. And I'm going to say this kind of under my breath. They were both attorneys' offices. So you never know who's going to be the company that goes out of business and you don't get your money. But what I want to tell you is all great advice that you got from Laura and Jen, and writing demand letters and going to Legal Shield for those attorney letters, which I did, by the way, Phil, on the last one that stiffed me, and the guy just laughed at me and he says, yeah, I think you're just wasting time because they're going to throw it in the trash, right? It doesn't scare attorneys. It does put the fear of God in other companies. But what I want to tell you is have a process in place when you do work for your companies. Know what their net pay date is. Like Laura said, it's going to be 30, 60, 90 days. If you don't have accounting software that tracks that for you, then pull a spreadsheet together so that you should have gotten paid by this company already.
Right.
Typically, when we're working with signing agencies, we don't send invoices to them. They just pay us, right?
Right.
Companies, more often, if you're working direct, you'll have to provide an invoice. So that invoice is kind of your countdown. That timer starts as soon as that invoice goes back with the package. Do that on your spreadsheet. When that 30, 60, 90 days comes due and you haven't received your payment, if it's for a company like a signing service that you don't initially send an invoice to, send them an invoice. It's a reminder, right? Sometimes they are smaller companies, sometimes they're process and procedures in office aren't quite as tight as they could be, maybe they just overlooked it. It's a real possibility. 30 days passes, 15 days passes for me. That's my schedule. After that invoice, I'm making a phone call. And I'm making a phone call the next day if I had to leave a voicemail. And I'm making a phone call until somebody calls me back at the end of that next 15 days. If nothing happens, that's when I go to Legal Shield. We are 30 days out or more from payment on this invoice. I'd like a demand letter. But what you really need to do is set your practice, your procedures up so that you're always constantly following up on that stuff. You know exactly where your accounts receivable are, right? Either in transit or someone's trying to stiff you and you need to not let it go 6 months.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah, Beth, that is great information to add on there. And one of the questions in the chat, and I was going to say it anyways, is Notary Assist has reports. It's an accounting system for notaries. And one of the things I love about it is that it has an aging report, and I can run a report for all jobs that I'm owed money, and it tells me how long ago from the date that I performed it. So I know where I'm at. And that way it's easy for me to access that information.
Right, that's fine if it's already past whatever the payment date of the signing service. But if it goes beyond that, you reach out to the signing service and they're providing you with excuses, there's nothing you can do but either accept their words or just.
You have to make that decision. That's a business decision nobody can make for you. Either you decide it's not worth it for me to pursue it, or you decide I'm going to try these things before I give up.
I do have a question, if I could. Before you service the company, was there a contract you signed? A lot of times, notaries are doing work with signing agencies where there's no written agreement between the two. If there was a written agreement, what does it say? Does it say they pay in 30, 60, 90? Sometimes we overlook what that paperwork is saying. And if you feel more comfortable with companies that do not have a 90, 60, send them a note before you take the job. I accept this offering, and then they'll let you know, well, that's not how we pay. There has to be that communication before you take that position.
Right. But I doubt anybody is 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not what their issue is. They're just saying they don't have the money to pay him. But I think you're right, Dashika, in that, when you get your confirmation, sometimes that's where you'll see it. We pay a net 30 or a net 45 or net 60. And so there should be some written agreement with that company. And typically I've seen it on that confirmation so that I know, I just write on the confirmation at the top, I put 30 days. So I know I don't need to follow up until that time comes. So, we are in business and we're providing a service that we can't take back. So it's really important that we're selective and that we stay on top of what's owed to us. So thanks for all your questions, and thanks everybody for your input. I do have another 5 minutes. I want to make one announcement. Laura's Inner Circle will be this Saturday at 8 a.m. Pacific time. It is free. If you haven't done it before, just go to my website, coachmelora.com, and then scroll down to Laura's Inner Circle. And it is group coaching for an hour, and it's a much smaller group than this one. So if you're interested, you can go there. If you've done it before, the link never changes. So you already have the link, you can use it again. All right, let's go to Rhonda.
Hello there. So I'm brand new at this. As a matter of fact, I am expecting my commission in about 3 or 4 weeks. So like super green, but I've been in real estate for the last 10 years. Question with regard to payment. So how often are notaries waiting for long periods of time before they receive payment? in your
Okay, so-
experience?
So, Rhonda, what I think is a long time and what you think is a long time may be different. I think on average, we're looking at 30 to 60 days on the average is a
Okay.
normal wait time.
Mhm.
Longer than 60 days is a little bit on the long end. I've seen it that it's up to 90. But usually it's less than that. Unless you're working direct. If you're working direct, title companies, I usually see my check in 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks, pretty quick. Now, for me, I choose not to work with companies that have that longer wait time.
Okay.
Just more time for things to go wrong, more time for them to forget about me. So I
Gotcha.
tend to only work with companies that are net 30 or less.
Okay.
But that
Thank
doesn't
you.
mean that's right for everybody. Does either Dashika or Beth or Jen have a comment about that?
I try to stay in net 30, depending on the company. I know there's a few title companies out there that operate under a larger corporate umbrella, and they typically are net 60. So I will stretch net 60 for them, but I'm with Laura, net 30 on my pay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't think it's a
Um,
huge problem, Rhonda. I think that it's more, if you're doing general notary work, it's
Mhm.
usually instant
Right.
payment, right? And it's when you get into more specialty like trusts and loan packages that you do have to wait. But my experience has been similar to that of Beth and Laura, where I haven't had any real lengthy waits or anything. So I don't think it's a big rampant issue.
Okay. No, that's good because being in real estate in 30 days, I'm used to, but
Yeah.
90 would be a problem. Thank you guys.
Great question though.
Yeah, thanks, Rhonda. Thanks for asking that. And since Matt put it in the chat, I want to say it out loud. At 5 o'clock is Clubhouse today for Notary Successful Journey. And we're going to talk about, do you take vacation? And if you do, how do you prepare for that? And if you're going, where are you going? We all want to know. So if you want to talk about vacation and trips and when you're not going to be available to your company, how do you handle that? Join us on Clubhouse at 5 o'clock Pacific time today. All right. Beautiful. And I have time for one more. Melissa, is there a reason you didn't use the hand? You're just waving your hand. Okay, then Paula. Is it Rademacher? Yeah, Paula,
Yeah.
Arizona.
Hey, about being paid. What is this? I had a problem with the signing service and that's the only thing that gets me is when at the end of the year you go, wait a minute, I didn't get paid for this and this and this because you don't send invoices out. But I do have invoices, that I set aside. So what I did is I sent it to them. I called them first and I said, hey, you know what? I didn't get paid for these. Well, send me your invoice and I'll look at it. So they did, and I got paid right away for it. They just said, oh, it was refinancing, boom, 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 boom. And then he changed accountant or something, and something got mixed up. Very apologetic and paid right away. So try to take care of it first before you do the demand letter. That's all I'm saying. And then what was the other one? Oh yeah, the shadowing another notary. My fiance and I, how do I say this? The signing service that's in California that sends us signings. He doesn't want women to go out at night by themselves. So he tries to get someone that can go out together. And you have to ask the borrower if they mind, because I guess he had a bad experience or somebody did. But you always have to ask the borrower if that's okay, because he doesn't like sending people out at night. And with that big boom, everybody does it at night in Arizona.
Yeah.
Anyways, and don't say, oh, I want to shadow someone, because that makes you sound really new. And at the table, don't ask questions. Wait until after the signing's all over if you are shadowing someone. someone had that bad experience that they let someone shadow them and asking questions at the table. It just doesn't seem like they're professional, you know? So just wait until after the signing that you go outside and ask questions.
Thank you, Paula, for that input. And guys, it's 1:01. And let me stop that ringing, incessant ringing. Oh, we are going to be back next Tuesday, same time, same station. Bill will be back from his vacation. We'll find out all about it. In the meantime, I hope you guys have a good week. If you have questions we didn't get to, remember Laura's Inner Circle is a Saturday, 8 a.m., or you can follow up with me on a text. All right, have a great afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, guys.